In 2009, District 9 came out and was instantly hailed as a science fiction classic, where it shows what happens when alien refugees arrive in the city of Johannesburg. Well, it leads to the community of alien creatures being housed in a residential slum called District 9. But after a bumbling bureaucrat called Wickus is infected with an alien substance, he slowly starts to change into one of the aliens who he insultingly refers to as prawns. Wickus teams up with a prawn called Christopher, who informs him that he can cure Wickus if he helps him to get fuel for the alien ship, where Wickus now has to fight the government organisation that he used to work for, who now want to dissect his hybrid body for profit, which leads to a showdown where Wickus must literally fight for his humanity. Wow, talk about a stressful day in the office. So today we are going back to District 9 to explore 10 things that you didn't know about this movie. So let's check it out and hope that the YouTube algorithm is kind to this video, as it's not a YouTube short and I really don't want to make TikTok videos. Wow, that was quite a mouthful. So let's check it out. Number 10. Inspired by real events. District 9 was co-written and directed by South African and Canadian filmmaker Neil Blomkamp. What inspired him to tell this story of interspecies tensions, segregation, and the mistreatment that follows was simply Blomkamp growing up in South Africa during the apartheid, where he witnessed himself the results of living in segregation and the tensions and turmoil it creates. District 9 itself is said to be somewhat based on and named after the real-life District 6, which is a residential area in Cape Town in South Africa where during the 70s residents were forcibly removed due to the apartheid. So it seems that Blomkamp really wanted to tell a very serious and real story, one that was personal to him, but rather than just creating a historical piece, he chose to tell the story through science fiction, with the aliens acting as a parallel to those who were really treated in such a way. Number 9. Before there was District 9, there was Alive in Joburg. So as we all know, District 9 was released in 2009, where it would become a big hit. However, before this intense vision of alien segregation was fully realised on the big screen, it originally was a 6-minute short film called Alive in Joburg, which was made in 2005. Just like in District 9, it sees aliens arriving in Johannesburg, where they are trying to live among the human population, but things become turbulent, where clashes, turmoil, and poor treatment ensues. Just like District 9, Alive in Joburg was shot in a documentary style, which adds a sense of realism, complete with interviews. The biggest difference between the two movies is Alive in Joburg was set in 1990, so the themes of the apartheid could be directly referenced. Incidentally, the short film was produced by Sharlto Copley, who would go on to star as Wickus in District 9. I remember at the time, I thought that he had a real look of Bradley Cooper about him, which is kind of funny as he would go on to star with Bradley Cooper in the A-Team movie. Number 8. District 9 happened because of a failed Halo movie. Legendary Lord of the Rings filmmaker Peter Jackson teamed up with Neil Blomkamp to make a movie adaptation of the Halo video games. Jackson was to produce, and Blomkamp was to direct, making Halo his feature debut. However, the production collapsed due to financial issues, with backers losing faith in the movie when its budget ballooned to $145 million, so the Halo project was abandoned. Jackson and Blomkamp decided to make another movie instead, where Blomkamp returned to his short film Alive in Joburg to use as inspiration for a feature film. Blomkamp and his wife Terry Tatchell worked on the script, and thus District 9 was born. And District 9 even uses props that were originally designed for the Halo movie, but of course were recycled for District 9, which is kinda cool. Number 7. The aliens were originally going to be played by actors in suits. So one of the most important aspects of District 9 is the look of the aliens themselves, aka prawns, as well as how were they going to be created on the big screen. The alien creatures were being designed by Peter Jackson's effects company, Weta Workshop, and some of the original designs were more robust than the more impoverished look that we would eventually get. According to ScreenRant.com, had some of the older designs gone through, then the aliens would have been played by performers in suits, which, to be honest, I do actually prefer to CGI. However, it was decided to design the aliens somewhat after prawns, as prawns is used as a derogatory insult to the aliens in the film, and thus the final design would have been impossible for actors to perform in any kind of costumes, so the alien species in District 9 became entirely CGI.
Basically, the aliens were not designed to look cute. They weren't E.T. Instead, they were designed to look warrior-like, and to also invoke disgust. But, as the story evolves, we're still able to sympathise with them.
Number 6. The sound of the aliens. So having the look of the aliens is one thing, but what about their voice? Do they have a voice? And what will their language sound like? No doubt questions that the production were tackling for creating the aliens in District 9. Well, the aliens' dialogue was performed by one person, that being Jason Cope, who incidentally starred in District 9 as a news correspondent. Cope improvised the sounds while recording them. So yeah, he created an entire alien language on the spot. As for the clicking noises that are heard whenever the aliens speak, well, this was a unique sound effect that was created by rubbing a pumpkin.
Okay, I don't quite know how that works, but sure, I'll go along with it.
Number 5. A nuclear apocalyptic wasteland. Filming of District 9 took place over a 60-day period. The shoot commenced at several Johannesburg locations. Director Neil Blomkamp, who was born in Johannesburg, chose to film during the winter, as he felt that Johannesburg during the winter looked like, quote, a nuclear apocalyptic wasteland, likening it to looking like Chernobyl. He wanted to capture a bleak and run-down environment, a desolate society. Due to rain that was occurring at the time, some greenery could be seen in some scenes intended for filming, to which the greenery would have to be removed in order to capture the desired look. The location of District 9 itself was actually an impoverished housing site, where in a case of art imitating life, the residents of the site were forcibly removed for another housing site. Blomkamp in no way wanted the movie to look slick or polished like your standard Hollywood movie, but for it to look rougher and harsher.
And because of this, many people feel that District 9 has a 1980s vibe about it, like it's a callback to some of those rougher, gruffer 1980s movies.
Number 4. It was the special effects company's first feature film. So Weta Workshop designed the creatures for District 9, but director Neil Blomkamp wanted its parent company, Weta Digital, to provide the special effects, especially considering it's a special effects heavy movie. Now, they did some work on the film, but the company couldn't commit too much to District 9, as it was working on Avatar at the time. So Blomkamp sought the services of Canadian visual effects company Image Engine Design. According to Wikipedia, using the company was something of a gamble, as the company hadn't worked on a feature film before, but nevertheless, Blomkamp chose the company for the potential of making a movie in British Columbia in the future, purely for taxation purposes. So the special effects used in the film may have been down to a potential tax credit. For the most part, the visual effects are honestly pretty good. I mean, yeah, the alien creatures are CGI, but it's CGI that doesn't stand out but more blends in. In other words, CGI done right. Number 3. Alternative endings. So there are several deleted scenes that didn't make it into the final cut. And look, although I find it interesting going back and discovering lost scenes, in this case I think it's for the best, as they didn't really need to be there. Although I do really like the scene where Wickus is begging a medic to amputate his arm. However, there were supposedly 5 different alternative endings. Now, the movie ends on a pretty somber note with great ambiguity, as we learn that Wickus is now a complete alien, without knowing if the Christopher alien would return and cure him. When I first saw District 9, I was like, now hang on a minute, you can't do this to me, movie. Will Christopher return? Will Wickus be human again? I need to know! Well, maybe one of the alternative endings would have provided an answer. Although these endings are apparently so bad, there is no available knowledge about them, and director Neil Blomkamp is determined for these alternative endings to never be revealed.
Look, we don't need to see an alternative ending. Just tell us, does he become human again? I need to know!
Number 2, potential sequel. So ever since District 9 came out, fans have been wondering, will we get a sequel? A continuation of the haunting universe shown in District 9. Well, one person who does seem to be enthusiastic for a sequel is its creator Neil Blomkamp himself. Even before the release of District 9, he claimed that he would make a sequel if District 9 is a hit, even going as far as giving it a title, District 10. In the years that followed, Blomkamp has stated that he'll still like to return to make another District 9 movie. There have even been claims that the follow-up would be a prequel. In 2021, it was announced that a sequel was finally in the works, and there was a script. But when asked about it in 2023, Blomkamp said that he doesn't even know if he wants to make a sequel now, but further added that at some point it probably will get made. Basically saying it's not happening, but it might be happening. Well, 14 years later, there is still no sequel. So what happened? Well, simply put, Blomkamp just wanted to make other movies, easy as that, where he would go on to direct Elysium, Chappie, Demonic, and Gran Turismo. Number 1, a surprise hit. District 9 arrived in movie theatres in August 2009. And wow! This was a small movie that no one saw coming that just came out of nowhere and blew everyone away, making nearly $211 million on its $30 million budget, with it even going on to be nominated for 4 Academy Awards. Keep in mind that this wasn't a big anticipated franchise movie, but a smaller one that just came along and went a long way. District 9 got widely praised by critics and audiences alike, with the New York Observer calling it the most exciting science fiction movie to come out in ages, along with Entertainment Weekly calling it madly original, cheekily political, and altogether exciting. District 9 is now considered a science fiction classic, and it is still just as original and as unique as it was back in '09. This movie may be many things. It's an action movie, a sci-fi tale with aliens, a documentary-style found footage romp, and an unnerving body horror. But behind all of that, there's actually a very human story within District 9. One that shows us the important values of how we treat others.
District 9 is a great movie, and it is really haunting, and it stays with you. And it's one of those movies that once you watch it, you know that you've just witnessed something really special. A classic. And they don't come around too often. Anyway, I'm Minty, and I'm just gonna duck out of the screen after saying see ya. See ya!